It's Friday, everyone. What do we do on Fridays here at the Hint Hive? That's right, we smash the patriarchy. Hello, my fellow queens. Welcome back to the Hint Hive, Amplifying Women's Voices. I'm your host, Kelly Hint, your resident psychotherapist, feminist life coach, and of course, your queen bee. Today's episode, we are absolutely going there. We are talking about something that too many women only learn about when it's already too late. The impact of divorce laws on women's financial futures. And listen, I know this topic might feel heavy. It might feel uncomfortable. Some of you might even be thinking, Kelly, I'm happily partnered. This doesn't apply to me. But I need you to hear me when I say this. This conversation is not about expecting your relationship to fail. It is about refusing to let yourself be financially vulnerable in any scenario. Because love might be emotional, but divorce is legal, strategic, and deeply financial, and the system is not neutral. This is about power. This is about protection. This is about making sure that you are never in a position where you have to choose between your safety and your survival. So, take a breath, get grounded, and let's break this all the way down. Let's start with the truth. The kind of truth that doesn't always get talked about loudly enough. The reality check that divorce still hits women harder. Now, before I get the hate mail coming in, I understand that divorce sucks equally for all genders. I get it. Here's your reminder. This podcast is for women, so I'm speaking directly to women, not to the guys, okay? All right. So, research consistently shows that women experience a significant drop in income after divorce, sometimes as much as 20 to 40%, while men's financial situations often remain stable or even improve. Let that sink in for a second. This is not because women are less capable. It's not because women are bad with money. It's because we are operating within systems that were not designed with women's lived realities in mind. Because we are still living in a society where women are more likely to take on unpaid caregiving roles. I'm living that dream myself right now. We are still living in a society where women are more likely to step back from careers for children or partners. Yep, did that too. Women often earn less over their entire lifetime due to the gender pay gap. Yes, this is also my reality. And women are more likely to prioritize family stability over personal financial gain. Would you look at that? All of these apply to me. How about you, queens? Can you relate to most of these too? So, when divorce happens, it is not just the end of a relationship. It's the collision of systemic inequality with legal structures that pretend that those inequalities don't exist. And I'm here to tell you that they are. And here's the part that really gets me fired up. Divorce laws often operate under the assumption that contributions are equal if they are not financial. But equal does not mean equitable. Because unpaid labor, such as raising children, managing a household, supporting a partner's career, that is labor that creates value. It creates stability, and it creates opportunity for the other partner to thrive. And yet, that labor is often undervalued or undercompensated when everything gets divided. So women walk away not just grieving a relationship, but rebuilding a financial life from a place of disadvantage. Now let's get into the mechanics of factors in divorce law that impact women, because understanding the system is how we stop being blindsided by it. So one of the key factors is equitable distribution versus community property. Depending on where you live, your assets will be divided in one of two primary ways. Community property states split marital assets 50-50. But then equitable distribution states divide assets based on what is considered fair, not necessarily equal. Now, fair sounds nice, right? Well, here's the reality. Fair is subjective. It depends on judges, interpretations, and the quality of legal representation. And in many cases, women who stepped away from careers or earned less are not fully compensated for the long-term impact of those decisions. So what looks equal on paper can still leave one person significantly more financially secure than the other. Now, let's talk about alimony, or otherwise known as spousal support, because there's been a major cultural shift here. Alimony used to function as a long-term safety net, particularly for women who had been out of the workforce. But today, we're seeing shorter durations, lower payments, and stricter qualifications to receive alimony. There is this growing assumption that everyone can just bounce back quickly and become financially independent. But rebuilding a career after years or maybe even decades out of the workforce is not a quick bounce. It's a climb. And many women are expected to make that climb without adequate support. And then we've got child support gaps. Child support is intended to create balance, but in reality, it often falls very, very short because it rarely reflects the full cost of raising children. Those of us who have had them, we know how expensive it gets. Payments can be inconsistent or unenforced, and emotional and logistical labor is not accounted for. And let's be honest, who is usually carrying the invisible load? Women, of course. We're scheduling appointments, managing school communication, handling daily care. I could go on forever. But if you are a female listening, I don't need to go on, do I? You are very well aware of the unpaid labor that you do daily, whether with children or not. And if you're not aware, maybe go back and listen to that past episode I did where I go into unpaid labor. It's both eye-opening and validating. And you know what? That unpaid labor, it doesn't show up in a spreadsheet, but it absolutely impacts women's ability to earn, grow, and stabilize financially. And then we've got retirement and long-term assets. This is one of the biggest and most overlooked areas of financial impact on women when it comes to divorce. Retirement accounts, pensions, investments, these are long game assets. And during divorce, many women prioritize immediate needs, housing, childcare, stability, over these long-term assets, which makes sense emotionally, right? But financially, it can mean sacrificing decades of future security. And if you don't fully understand what you're entitled to or how to divide these assets properly, you could walk away with far less than what you deserve. Let me tell you, each and every time I compare my retirement and my Social Security accounts with my husband's, I become enraged. And I've often spent time wondering how many women stay with their husbands later on in life because they don't have better retirement options. I didn't get to earn as much because I had gaps in employment because I was raising kids. And so that affects me. I won't go into the gender pay gap again. All right. So let's zoom out for a second, because this is bigger than individual relationships. Let's talk about the feminist lens, because this is not just personal, it is political. This is about conditioning. Women are often socialized to prioritize love over leverage, to avoid uncomfortable conversations about money, to trust that things will just work out, and to be agreeable, accommodating, and self-sacrificing. In those traits, they are rewarded in relationships, but punished in legal systems. Because the legal system does not reward emotional labor. It rewards documentation, negotiation, and strategy. The legal system does not care that you were busy raising babies without getting paid, while nothing was being contributed to your retirement or Social Security. The legal system does not care about the nuances and impact of being a woman. So, when I say this is feminist work, I mean it. Financial literacy is feminist work. Understanding the legal system is feminist work. Advocating for yourself is feminist work. Because every time a woman becomes informed, she becomes harder to exploit. And that, my friends, is powerful. All right, queens, this is where we shift from awareness into action. Because information without action is just potential. And it's time to protect your financial future now, no matter what the state of your relationship. So, step number 1, know your financial landscape. Even if you are deeply in love, fully committed, and everything feels solid, you still need awareness. Because lack of awareness can have very real consequences. When one partner manages all the finances and the other stays in the dark, it can mean discovering way too late that debts exist in your name, that retirement accounts are uneven, or that assets were never shared in the way that you assumed. Fun fact, I used to work for an attorney, and I have seen women blindsided during divorce proceedings when they realize that they don't know what accounts exist, what money has been invested, or even what their true household income is. And that kind of financial blind spot can dramatically weaken your negotiating power in a divorce. Hear me when I say this. Awareness does not mean that you expect betrayal. It means that you refuse to participate in your own financial invisibility. You need to know what accounts exist, what assets you share, what debts are in your name, and what your monthly financial reality actually looks like. Because you cannot protect what you do not understand. Step number 2, maintain financial independence. Again, this is not about distrust. This is about self-respect. Maintaining some level of financial independence protects your autonomy and ensures that you always have choices available to you. When women give up all personal financial footing, no account in their own name, no credit history, no savings, all that stuff, they can become financially trapped without even realizing it. I have worked with women who could not qualify for an apartment, a loan, or even a credit card after separation because everything had always been in their partner's name. That kind of dependence can delay leaving unhealthy situations, weaken your legal position in a divorce, and create unnecessary stress during an already painful transition. Having financial independence does not mean that you love your partner any less. It simply means that you value your own security enough to make sure that you can stand firmly on your own 2 feet if life ever requires it. Because here's another uncomfortable reality. It may not be divorce that takes your partner away from you. That whole illness and death thing looms over all of us, right? So maintaining financial independence is imperative. So make sure that you have your own bank account, your own credit history, and your own emergency fund. Because independence is not the opposite of love. It is the foundation of choice. Okay, step number 3, build an emergency exit fund. Let's name this directly. Every woman should have access to money that allows her to leave any situation safely. And I want to pause on that for a second, because this is not just a nice idea. It is a very real safety issue. Again, in the career that I currently have, as well as my past experiences working for an attorney, too many women have been stuck in dangerous positions. And I just cannot emphasize this enough. Financial dependence is one of the biggest reasons that women stay in unhealthy, controlling, or even abusive relationships longer than they otherwise would. When someone does not have access to their own money, the decision to leave becomes infinitely more complicated. Suddenly, you're asking questions like, where will I live? How will I feed my kids? How do I pay a lawyer? How do I even get through the first month on my own? An emergency exit fund removes some of those barriers. It creates breathing room. It gives you the ability to make decisions from a place of empowerment rather than desperation. And even if you never need to use it, knowing that it exists can change how you move through the world, because you know you have options, and options are power. And hey, if you don't use it, you got a nice little nest egg for retirement, right? So whether you are in a toxic relationship, have a financially controlling partner, or you're dealing with an unexpected life shift, you need to have an emergency exit fund. This is not pessimism, queens. This is preparedness. All right, step number 4, document your contributions. If you are contributing unpaid labor, start documenting it. I know that might feel strange at first, because so much of what women do inside families is treated as just part of life. It's just our duty, right? That's women's work. But in legal and financial systems, if something is not documented, it is much easier for it to be minimized or ignored altogether. So start keeping records of the roles that you fill in your household. Who manages childcare? Who handles school communications? Who schedules medical appointments? Who coordinates activities? Who manages the home? And whether you step back from career opportunities to support your partner or family. How about the time that you spent recovering from childbirth, right? So even simple notes, calendars, or saved emails can help paint a clearer picture of the labor that you've been providing. This kind of documentation can become incredibly important in divorce proceedings, as well as custody discussions or financial negotiations, because it shows the real scope of your contributions. What feels invisible day to day can become powerful evidence when decisions about assets, supports, and responsibilities are being made. So, keep track of caregiving responsibilities, career sacrifices, household management, and any other unpaid work that you engage in. Because what is invisible in daily life needs to be visible in legal contexts. Step number 5, educate yourself on your state laws. Knowledge removes fear, and fear blocks action. So take time to understand how assets are divided in your state and what qualifies for alimony, as well as how custody and child support are calculated. You don't need to become a lawyer, but you do need to become informed. Step number 6, consult professionals early. You do not need to wait for a crisis to get support. There is nothing wrong with increasing your knowledge to understand your options. Speak with a financial advisor or a family law attorney. And this is not about planning for divorce. It is about planning for security. Step number 7, practice financial assertiveness. Start getting comfortable talking about money, asking questions, and setting boundaries. Because your voice is one of your greatest financial assets. And finally, step number 8, advocate without apology. If you ever find yourself navigating a divorce, do not shrink. Do not rush. Do not accept less just to end the discomfort. Because peace without justice is not peace. It's self-abandonment. And you need to remember your worth. Do not desert yourself in this critical time of need. All right, my queens, time now for our affirmation of the week. I am not financially powerless. I am informed, prepared, and fully capable of securing my future. Say that again, out loud or in your head. You know what? I'm going to say it again right now. I am not financially powerless. I am informed, prepared, and fully capable of securing my future. This affirmation matters because so many women have been taught to disconnect from their financial power. So many women have been taught to surrender to their partner, most notably to a man. To believe that money is confusing is another form of conditioning that we need to get rid of. We've learned or been told that legal systems are intimidating, that someone else should handle it. But every single time that you choose to understand your finances, every time you ask a question, every time you advocate for yourself, you are reclaiming power that was never supposed to be taken from you in the first place. This affirmation is not just a statement. It is a shift in identity. You are not someone who hopes things work out. You are someone who makes damn sure that they do. All right, friends, let's ground in this. You do not need to live in fear of divorce, but you do need to live in awareness. Because the goal is not to expect the worst. It is to never be unprepared for it. You deserve relationships rooted in love, not dependency. You deserve stability that does not disappear if a relationship ends. You deserve a future that you have a direct hand in shaping. And most importantly, you deserve to feel safe in your own life regardless of your relationship status. That, my friends, is what empowerment looks like. That is what financial sovereignty looks like. As always, if this episode activated something in you, and I hope it did, I want you to take at least one powerful action today. Check your accounts, start or add to your emergency fund, have a conversation about finances, or schedule a consultation with a professional. Pick one. Start there. And if you're struggling with this, if you feel stuck, or if you need some clarity, please reach out to me. That's what I'm here for. We can do this work together. I will make sure that whatever decision that you decide to make, you will have done all of the work necessary to feel the confidence that you deserve in moving forward. And, of course, if you know a woman who needs this conversation, send her this episode, because this is how we protect each other. This is how we break cycles. This is how we build collective power. And, of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a review, and join our community over on Facebook. Because here in the Hive, we don't just talk about empowerment. We embody it. We protect it. And we pass it on. Till next time, Queens, keep being your amazing selves. This podcast is powered by Kelly Hint Empowerment Coaching, as well as Kelly M. Hint LMHC and The Cranky Counselor. To find out more about coaching services, head over to CoachKellyHint.com. If you'd like to know more about the psychotherapy services I offer to individuals within the state of New York, you can check out KellyMHint.com. And if you'd like to learn more about aromatherapy, you can check out TheCrankyCounselor.com.